out through your mouth. Oh. Alright. There is no requirement to do anything tonight from that side. You can just relax. Sit there, listen. There's going to be times there where we'll have a break, we'll pop back outside for a drink and have a cordial and do whatever you need to do and then pop back in. There is no requirement to contribute. There is no requirement to participate, but I'll leave a question and answer session open if anyone does want to do that. So this is just a sharing session. So everyone good?
Yep.
Alrighty, we're okay to get started? Alright. Tihei maurua. Ko rupehu te mauna, ko hautapi te awa, ko Ngāti tū mātou ene te iwi. Te roka lawa, o Rokongo o Dion. And good evening, my name is Dion. That is my father at the back, Tamawhenga Tiny Jensen.
Hey.
In our past life I was private Sierra 993639, private PA Jensen. And that was X-ray 9305, Star Major Tamawhenga Tiny Jensen. So we whakapapa back through Ngāti tū, through the New Zealand Army, back through Samoa, interestingly enough, a Viking bloodline back to Denmark. So our last name of Jensen is actually Jensen, because Germany is occupied Samoa. So we come down that side. So Dad's 6'6" and brown, Mum is 5 foot nothing and white, and she whakapapas back through England and all those naughty sailors all the way back to the other side. So she saw my dad playing the guitar at the army party and she was like, kia ora. So this my sister and I were a result of that. My parents only had sex twice in their whole life. And had my sister. So my sister Amanda is 2 years. One of which you can remember. So it's my mum, my dad, my sister and I, that's our family nucleus. And obviously I was born in Singapore, so Dad was posted every 2.5 years. So every 2.5 years, new school, new friends, new town, new everything every 2.5 years. At the time it was difficult, in hindsight what a blessing to be around all these different cultures and all these different people. And so, yeah, we went through the military journey, then I went through the police journey. I was the Aopuni community cop 18 years ago. And while I was there, we were trying to fix a lot of the community issues but couldn't do it in a blue uniform. And so got headhunted, we shot over to Iraq and we were bodyguards for 3 years, 2004, 2007. My particular contract was helping refugees come back into the country, but no one knows that, so everyone just tries to kill you every day for 3 days. Lost some really good mates there, come back as a werewolf, got diagnosed with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. I disagreed it was a disorder because I'm just doing what I was trained to do. So I ended up writing books and getting endorsed and blah, blah, blah. But now that I'm back here in New Zealand, I'm just sharing different ways of how we all got through stuff, because we're all people. And I come back to New Zealand and there's so much division. And I've come from war. And all you have to do to create war is divide people, make them different, and then just demonise one side. That's all you've got to do. But the worst thing at the moment is we're actually doing it to ourselves. We're doing it to ourselves in the mirror. So I did the speech called Make Peace with the Mirror because I hated the dude that I saw in the mirror. The speech blew up, a couple of million views, and that speaking thing took off. So I just started sharing. And then, because we're trainers at heart, I just started designing processes so people could follow if they wanted to give it a go. Right? This may not be for everyone, but it's for someone. So I'm just opening up my kitty of knowledge, and I'm just sharing it tonight. A little bit different tonight as well. Normally when we do community stuff, it's in a shithole. Excuse my language. Anything to do with community is always the cheap stuff. It's always the crumbs from the table. It's the afterthought. So I'm like, no, when I get back here, we're going to go somewhere nice. So we found somewhere nice. I was actually at a business meeting and I was going to the whakapaki. I was just going to the toilet. I walked past and the doors open. I was like, hey, what's that room? And so I stole it. So we're going to run workshops here. There's a big room upstairs that holds 75. So we're going to start off here and just share. And then if we need more room, we'll just pop upstairs. So thank you very much for coming. I laugh because it's a redefining anxiety workshop. So the people that are here tonight have dealt with anxiety, are helping people deal with anxiety, they're in the middle of it or they're outside the other side of it. So it's really, really difficult to get people that have dealt with anxiety in a room, to even show up. So you have my absolute respect for even showing up. There's little voices in your head that say everyone's looking at you, everyone's judging you and all that other sort of stuff. They're more than welcome here. All those voices are absolutely welcome here. I'm not here to shut any of them off. So we're just going to share and you just take whatever you like. And we'll get through it. Everyone good with that? Do I have your permission to start? Awesome. I'm going to get my dad to drop one of these lights so we can see the screen. Then I'll get into the safety precautions and what we can do. Just before we do that, our first exit's over here on the left behind Aaron. And we go out that door, out the back, and our muster point is around the back of the building. And our secondary exit is straight out the back. And we've got a third one and another 20 odd ones we need to throw chairs through windows. Right, so that's our safety precautions if anything happens. Your phones, keep them on. Take photos, jump on Facebook, record whatever you want to record, do anything you want on your phones. I just ask that you just keep it on silent in case somebody rings. Do whatever you like, take a photo, just heard this, share it, do whatever you like. Because when everything turns to crap, it's the first place we go, straight on our phones. So I acknowledge that, go for it. I'm just going to present, do what you need to do. If you need to step up at any stage during this, just step up. If something triggers you in here, just tap my dad on the shoulder on the way out. He'll just pop out and keep you company. The next break I'll come out and I'll talk to you. I'll be your first aid person today. Shane will be my backup because he's trained in that. And I'll also be your mental health first aider if anyone needs anything on that. I'm trained for all that stuff as well. Okay. So, any other questions before we start? Get in, get both cheeks comfy, and then we'll get into it. Dad, if you could drop the first light, please. So it's not too dark for everyone, everyone's cool with that? Awesome, one person's cool with that. Awesome. We'll get there. So again, these are our exit points. And this whole workshop is just redefining it. I'm not here to tell you what it is. I'm just offering a different point of view that we've utilised in our tribe, so you can change some definitions and take what you need. But here's the actual definition in the medical world, and there's lots of them, but I like this one because this one clearly says, for anyone that's been told that they're crazy and it's all in your head, that the link between your mind and your body is, man, it's 100% real. You can create stuff in your head that's going to freak your body out and dump adrenaline and all that sort of stuff. And so I know I'm preaching to the choir on that, but I've asked a favour of one of our brothers. So, Te Kai Po Ahuriri, who you know as Colonel Clint, we met about 2 years ago. I've been one of his silent supporters, sneaking around in the background, watching from afar, watching things coming, watching them happen. But when we first had a kōrero and he shared his side of his experiences, I wanted him to speak. James, come on up, bro. There's plenty of seats in the middle. Come be comfy. Lovely to see you. If anyone needs a hug, there's your man right there. Just this awesome hugs. Alright, so Te Kai Po, if you want to come up, please, bro. Yeah, so a lot of people know Colonel, but Colonel's just going to share this stuff affecting the body stuff.
Very quick. We should start this from the beginning. Okay, so I'm 6 years in clean with meth, and so I've spent 16 years on the gear and hit it really hard. So when I actually did get clean, I noticed something was happening to me, and I'm breathing for air, and it was quite a scary experience. I've never had it before. So I ended up finding out I had a name called anxiety. So it can happen if I'm feeling anxious now. But I'm taking stuff for it, so they've been trying to put me onto doctor's meds and whatnot, but I'm anxious on that stuff too. And that's trying to run away from it. So I'm trying natural stuff and all sorts of stuff, apparently whatever raises your heart, sugar and all that stuff, trying to get off it. So I'm dealing with diabetes too, maybe in the first early days of it, but even that makes me anxious, just not being able to breathe. I've run the ambulance on myself maybe 5 times in the last 2 years, thinking I can't breathe and going to eye tear, and I had a real bad one. I was in Auckland sitting some papers for drug counselling, and on the motorway heading back to the Auckland airport to fly back to Palmerston, I had an anxiety attack, and it kind of freaked me out. I just remember turning around and a whole bunch of people in the bus and just said, "Who's got water?" And somebody came with water. And somebody says, "Bro, you look white." And I turned white. It's freaky and quite a scary experience, really. Not much scares a man, but that's one thing that actually scares me. So I'm just trying to find pathways and stuff to deal with it when I feel it coming on, how I can settle it down. And I get a lot of advice from people. 4, 6, 8 and stuff like that. Breathe in for 6, hold for, breathe in for 4, hold for 6, and breathe in for 8 and stuff. And kind of works, and then you seem to find your own ways of dealing with it, and then not everybody's the same, so again, just whatever works for you. But on 4 days in, I don't even know what they're called.
Just natural stuff?
Yeah, just natural stuff, and this seems to be the best stuff, you know. I'm scared of medications. I've just seen so many family members that get on the meds, and before you know it, they're putting them in a hole in the ground. No one says it. I'd rather die trying to go through the natural route than the other way, yeah, but still dealing with it hard, like I say. I'm anxious, just living there. So I don't know why, you know, it just comes around. So as soon as I put up a few posts about it over the last 6 months, 8 months, you know, and the response was, oh, man, so many people with the same stuff going on. So, but it just took somebody to actually speak up for them to want it, because it's like, well, we don't even know what's going on either. Especially, so I'll just go back to when I first got off the gear. That's my first panic attack I've worked out now. 25 days a week. Really, right up on my head. My wife was with me, but we just picked one of our sons up from Australia, from Wellington Airport, and I seen the woman and I just kept blacking out at the wheel and thought I was having a heart attack. The old chest went tight. And I just remember the defining moment that made me just want to change my life was I thought I was dying, and I just remember giving her a kiss, telling her I love her, and our 2 kids, they were scared looking at one of them, looking not very well. I just said, I'm going to walk into the darkness. It was just on dark. Tell everyone, so I'm going down here somewhere, I'm dying in front of my kids, you know, and yeah, that was the defining moment. I need to change my life, and that, but I'm now stuck with this bloody anxiety stuff. So what do I do? So here I am, trying to deal with it. And that's why we're here today.
Awesome, bro. Thank you. Give my hand. The reason I wanted to Kaipo to speak is, and thank you, bro. Like, I know it's freaky to do that stuff, but this is a guy that not too much on this earth scares this guy. There's nothing with 2 legs or four legs that scare people like us, right? And we don't share this stuff. And then as soon as you share it, someone else goes, oh, bro, me too, me too, me too, me too. And I remember when I got back from overseas, I was having nightmares and flashbacks and trying to kill people and checking outside of my house, and I was holding it all to myself and not sharing it because I'm supposed to be this guy. I'm the guy that everybody relies on. You know, if everything's on fire, you call Dion, he comes and deals with it, and I'm battling this stuff on the inside. I don't want anyone to know. And then we're at a party up on Summerhill with all the boys, you know, like serious people. And I just turned the stereo off. They were looking at me, what are you doing? It's like, is anyone waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and checking the street, counting cars, checking their windows and doors? Oh, don't be silly, bro, I'm being serious. And just went dead quiet, and everyone's like, yeah, bro, me too, me too, me. What does anyone talk about? Because it takes someone that is seen to be strong in an area to actually go, yeah, I am strong in all this stuff, you know, don't test me. But I'm on this side here, I'm just scaring the crap out of them. But what can happen, and the reason why I wanted to Kaipo speak first is, what can happen, especially with anxiety, is the amount of people, and especially close family and close friends, try to tell us all in your head, or they try and get all these other excuses, and you really feel like that you're crazy, you know. And so I wanted that to back that up, to say, yeah, that's a medical explanation. That's a live human being. That's a pretty hard dude, you know. And so it's real. It's real, but it's natural. And getting to the point where your body actually reacts to what you're thinking about is an amazing superpower to have, for the record. But at the moment, it's just a little bit out of control. So when you can tap into that, like we do in the military, is your mind can tell your body to do whatever you need it to do, and it will do it. And it also works in reverse. If you put your body under certain amounts of stress, it'll alter your mind. So I just want to give a real live example. So if you struggle with anxiety to the point where you can't breathe, feel like someone's sitting on your chest or choking you out, or you know, the night paralysis and all those sorts of things, they're absolutely natural, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. All right, so none of this scares me. Some of these things are may trigger some people, which is fine. Doesn't bother me in the slightest, because we'll get through it and out the other side. All good? All right, let's take another deep breath in through the nose. Hold it. And breathe out through the mouth. So thank you for that. Like I trust this guy, he's a safe dude, so I was just like, yeah, man, that's a risk. He'll be uncomfortable, but he'll be through. was anxious about sitting down, but once he sat down, he's not anxious about sitting down, he's sitting down. And he's anxious about getting on stage and speaking, but once he's on stage speaking, he's not anxious about being on stage speaking. You can never be anxious about something in the present moment. You can only be anxious about something in the future, and we'll talk about it. So, critical. From when you're a young fella, or fellas, we are all hardwired the same. This soul is wrapped in a meat suit. It's mainly water and electricity run by this thing which needs oxygen, right? We're wired the same. And we're wired to keep ourselves alive. That's why we like having cuddles to grow the population. That's why we stay away from things that are scary. And if something hurts us, we want to stay away from that again, especially if we see it again. So if something hurts you, didn't like that, and you see it again, of course you're going to stay away from it. We're all hardwired the same. This is all natural. Alright? I love the suspicion at the moment, so I'm okay, I'm with you for another 30 seconds, dude, get there. So, when I was talking to Colonel about this, we were running another workshop down in Awapuni, and I was like, isn't it, breed corn dogs, and we all love dogs in our tribe, we all love animals. We've got equine therapy people here, we've got dog lovers, we've got, dogs have owners, cats have slaves, but we have people that like cats. We've got all sorts of weird on, but we love animals. And most of our tribe loves animals because they're loyal to us. They don't hurt us. Alright? And so when I was talking to Colonel, and I was running the workshop down there, I was like, everyone does all that definition of anxiety and it's all bad and all the rest of it. And I just said, anxiety is your guard dog. Like, that's its job. Its job is to bark when it sees something that could hurt you. So, who's got a dog? Put your hand up if you've got a dog. Or a cat that thinks it's a dog. Yeah. It's a little bit here too, though. And so you imagine, this is Ruby, Ruby's 13. It was really cool because when I put this together, I was sitting at Colonel Missy's place and I was patting Ruby at the time. So absolute sweetheart of the dog. Loves them to death, right? So your dog loves you. Your dog was loyal to you and your dog will protect you all the time. Yes? Yeah. And so we love that dog, yes? And so if that dog's scared for us, that dog will bark or give us some sort of warning, right? That's its job. So if someone comes to your gate and your dog runs over there and barks at that person, what is the dog doing? The dog is doing its job. It's saying, Dad, Dad, Mum, hey, someone's here. And then what do? You check, and then what do you do next? You make the decision on where that person comes or goes, and you tell the dog if it's okay or not. True? So if someone turns up that you're right, Dion, come here, Dion. That's just Dion. And the dog's like, okay then, sweet ass, pat, pat, and away we go. Dog's done its job. But how that relationship works is the dog's job is to bark and alert you what's going on, and your job is to tell the dog what we're going to do about it. And then the dog will listen. What happens is if in your conscious mind, been through trauma, fried, hurt, all that sort of stuff, you've lost that ability to consciously control that. So your guard dog goes on hyper alert. Oh man, Dad's hurt. Like, man, there's a dude coming down the street. I want to start barking now in case he gets anywhere near our gate because I got to look after Dad. True? How is that a disorder? How is your hardwired warning system that protects you from getting hurt? How is that a disorder? Hold that question. Now let's take that a little bit further. Beautiful dog. It's gone to bark when someone turns up to Colonel Missy's place. Colonel Missy, that's his job. Bark, bark, bark. That's all right. Leave him alone. Or actually, yes, get him killed. Right? We need that, don't we? If someone comes into our house, tries to hurt us, our guard dog's going to go and bite him. Yeah? What's wrong with that? Nothing, no? We all have the innate right as sovereign beings to protect ourselves. And so, if I'm bellied up and I jump the front fence with a baseball bat and Ruby sees me, she might bark if she's got time, or she's going to get into me. Boom, straight away. Why? Because she's got to protect Dad. Mum and Dad are in there. So if your dog's bark, bark, bark and you ignore it, you don't do anything and something keeps coming, what's the dog going to do? It's going to bite. Why? Because it's natural. Why? Because that dog loves you and is loyal and is trying to protect you. Again, how is that a disorder? Now, let's take it a little bit further. This beautiful dog, Ruby, someone comes up to the front gate, looks very suspicious, starts barking. And Colonel goes, shut up, give him up. Boots this dog. What's Ruby thinking? Hey, Dad, there's someone coming. I'm doing, why are you kicking me? And if you keep kicking that dog, or dragging that dog up and tying it up and telling it to be quiet, or putting a whole bunch of pills in its food so it sits still and it's just dozing, what is that dog going to feel? How's that dog going to feel? Hurt? Very confused? I'm doing my job here. Why are you trying to shut me up? Why are you kicking me? Why are you doing these things? I'm doing my job. And so in the anxiety field, we're like, hey, we're getting all these feelings of warning coming up. Guess what? Because someone shat on me in the past, someone hurt me in the past, there was a whole lot of fear in the past that I'm seeing in the present moment. So shit, I'm going to start barking. That's normal, right? Like, that makes logical sense, right? And so the reason why it's called a disorder, the reason why there's always negativity is because we don't have conscious control of it. So we all have thoughts and feelings and emotions, right? And we either have control of them or we don't. But in danger, we're hardwired, so it's going to happen subconsciously. Does that make sense? Okay. So for anyone that struggles with anxiety or is anxious about anything, it is natural and it's your warning system. We just use the metaphor of the guard dog. Now, we've all heard about the black dog, right? So everyone heard about the black dog?
Yep.
So what's the black dog supposed to be a metaphor for?
Depression.
Metaphor for? Okay, cool. Depression, right? Why is the black dog a metaphor for depression?
Because you associate black with like darkness, negativity, and that's their common narrative of like everything dreary and down and out.
Yep.
Your shadow.
Yep. So the dog, what's a dog's job?
Protect.
Protect. Why? Because it loves us. Will do anything it can to protect us. So anxiety is Ruby as the guard dog giving you fair warning. And it's fair warning because she's letting you know, hang on, something doesn't look right here, or she's reminded you of something that happened in the past and she's reminding you, hey, that's the guard dog is anxiety. The black dog is actually the big fluffy coat that wants to lay on you to keep you still. Stay here, hide. Stay here. Stay behind me. Don't move, don't talk to anyone. Calm down. That dog is a blanket of love. Just trying to sit on you to keep you still. To keep you safe. Because that thing that they're seeing the same thing. Seeing fear, seeing the threat. Either your guard dog's going to come out, or your black dog's going to try and keep you safe. Still a dog, still loyal, still loves you, still doing its natural job. Make sense? But we demonize it. Because we don't have control of things. We have this fascination of trying to control everything. Trying to stop a tree from growing. So there you go. So when we talk about anxiety, we have to understand past, present, future. Okay, so the simplest redefining of anxiety that we use in our tribe, take it or leave it, is recognizing something in the present moment that is reminding you of past fear or pain. And something in the present has activated that. If you activate something from the past, you are activating a memory. Correct? The past can only be a memory. But you activate in a memory. Once you activate the memory, you activate the emotion attached to the memory. So, if I think of the memory of my 12-year-old daughter last night baking brownies and chocolate chip cookies, I can taste that. Because it's a memory. The emotion attached to that is happiness, because now my daughter is baking. How good is that? And now, because I remember the taste of it, what's happening in my body? In my physiology? My body's reacting to my thoughts. Ooh, food. I'm getting hungry, I'm salivating, right? So my body's going to follow what my mind does. But if that memory, and so when I came back from Iraq and I was running around trying to kill people, I was at home in Hookfatu and I was doing the dishes, and my conscious mind was away with the fairies. My daughter was 5 at the time. She was sneaking up behind me. She was going to give me a fright because she thought it would be funny. Do you think that's going to be funny?
Nope.
I've been in Iraq. Every single day people are trying to kill me. Every single day. And my 5-year-old daughter was going to sneak up behind me and give me a fright. What do you think's going to happen?
Trigger.
Straight away, right? Contact grab. Grenade bomb. That's how we're trained. My daughter goes boom and I spin around like this. grab her, go, we go. And then have the conversation. But that's not a disorder. I'm trained that way. That's my training. If this happens, do that. If this happens, do that. But that is training. That's a memory and emotion and behavior attached to a memory. As soon as something triggers, I react the same way. It's the same with this. So one of the first tricks, the first things you can take away right now, the secret to dealing with a panic attack and any sort of anxiousness and anxiety is put yourself in the present moment. You cannot be anxious about something that is happening right now. So something will trigger you. Well, should I go get up on stage and talk? You know, I'm going to go to all these other memories, all these other sort of things, and as soon as you even touch that frequency, your body's going, what are we doing? Adrenaline, pump, breathe, like get excited. But if we get too excited, we've got all this diabetes, all this other stuff going on, I can't let you get too excited. Shut down the oxygen. What? Shut it down. So your body's going to shut you down. Why? Trying to keep you safe. Trying to keep you alive. Because you've activated a memory with the same emotion attached to it. The more you speak in front of people, the more you come up on stage, the more that your present self and your past self has a clear view of the future, the less anxious you will be. Might be a little bit different if I grab the guitar and say, hey mister, let's come up here and sing 10 guitars for everyone. Yeah. No? Yeah? But if that's what we're always doing, you get used to it. But we've just run this pattern in our mind the whole time. Our mind is linked to our body, it's linked to our memory, we just keep doing this. Make sense? Alright, so stay in the present moment. So the only things you can do to stay in the present moment is your breathing, your 4-6-8s. I like box breathing, but when you're fizzing really, really fast, sometimes you skip past the breathing. So here's a question you ask yourself in your mind. Is it happening now? Whatever you're anxious about, just keep saying stuff. Is it happening now? Someone's going to get me up on stage. Are you on stage now? No. And you keep doing that. Is this happening now? No. Is this happening now? No. Is that until you get to the point of, that's not happening right now. And then you say, but thank you for the information. Good, it's okay. It's all right. Thank you for barking. We're all good. Bark. Hey, we're all good. Don't do that. Boo. Right, hey, we're all good. Look. Can you see anybody? No. Hey, we're good. Hungry? You've got to stay in the present moment. Anxiety can't exist in the present moment. It is impossible to be anxious in the present moment. It's impossible. Does anyone not believe me? Come on, let's go. Someone doesn't believe me. Right, you want to find out if you can do it or not? All right, now, you want to find out if you can do it or not? Okay, let's try this. Everyone put up your right hand. Are you other right, bro? Sure. All right, so now everyone wave tomorrow. Wave yesterday. It's impossible. You can't exist yesterday or tomorrow. It's impossible. Anxiety can't exist. But the feelings can exist in the present moment. Because as soon as you think about it, your body starts.
It's the same with music. People who like to listen to music.
Yeah.
The memories and the emotions and the crying and the laughter. And it's exactly the same.
So what music was playing when you fellas turned up?
Don't know some. I should have taken notice my love music. But yeah.
Sam Cooke,
Sam.
Marvin Gaye, some real nice love stuff. You know, just for the frequency before we get in there. Be 100% right. You've got to stay in the present moment with techniques that can do it through your breathing. Is it happening now? Is it happening now? No, it's happening now. It's not happening now, but thank you for the warning. Don't shut the warning down. So here's the other example. I walk down the street. I'm happy. I'm cool. Nothing else is going on. I'm just walking down the street. I'm just going somewhere. I walk past the fence and a dog barks. Poof! Ah! What's the first thing my body did?
Reacted.
Took me away from the danger. And what's the very next thing we normally say? We normally yell out a word that starts with F. Sounds similar to fire truck and fairy godmother. None of which is fire truck or fairy godmother. But it starts with an F. Why do we do that? Physiologically, our body takes us away from danger. We expel the oxygen so we can do what? So now we've moved out of the way, now we're full of oxygen, brain's got sharp, tunnel vision, adrenaline dumps, heart starts pumping faster to get the oxygen around, and then I go, ooh, bloody dog. It's alright buddy, and I keep walking. The danger has passed, I've consciously recognised what's going on, and I'm walking. Has my body stopped? No, that cycle is still running inside my body, my heart's still pumping, there's still adrenaline in my system, it's going to take time for that adrenaline to run out. Makes sense, right? So I don't want to devalue the feelings of anxiety, because what you're anxious about can't exist in the present moment, but the feelings can. And here's the secret. You're not actually anxious about what's about to happen. You're actually anxious about getting the feelings of being anxious. That's what you don't like. You don't like the feelings. You're not even scared about the stuff you're anxious about. You're not even scared about coming up and you're talking. You're scared about having the same feelings of anxiety while you're talking. Makes sense, eh? Which is good news. It's good news. Stay with me. Still with me. Stay with me. And so, did anyone see the video that I did on how to get here tonight? See, I posted it on Facebook. Why do I do that? Why do you think? Yeah, so I wanted to give you a clear path of the future, because it's your imagination of something that is not happening in the present moment that's going to start all these feelings of. You get reminded of the past, and now we're talking future stuff. Oh, you know, what if I get there and everyone looks at me? What if this? What if that? What if this? What if that? Right? And all that starts happening because you don't know what it looks like. What's going to happen when we get into the workshop? Where's the room? How do we get there? So I'll show you. You start here, we walk through here, we come through here. This is what the room looks like. This is what your fellows are going to look from stage. This is how it's all going to go. So now your imagination can't play tricks on you. Your imagination is not going to go, oh, we're going to walk down here and it's not going to jump out and give us a fright or something. So what I was doing, and this is another way, so that mind map is when your anxiety is going, wow, what about this, what about this, what about this? Chuck it all down. Write it all down. If you're anxious about something, get a pen and paper. Write it all down. What are we scared of? This. What about, what else? What else? And empty it. Write it all down. Get it all out there. Because I don't want you to shut any of this off. It's barking so that your dog is aware that you've been warned. Once your dog knows you've been warned and is happy that you're safe, you'll back off. It might take a few times because you've built a habit up all this time. It might take a few times, but once the dog knows, okay, he's listening to me, it'll all relax. And so we throw it all up in a mind map, and then we can put it down to a task list, because what will give us? Control. Gives us conscious control. If you're supporting someone that's having a panic attack, what's happening is they disappear into different parts of their brain. The fastest way to get back into prefrontal cortex, which is where all our conscious stuff is, ask them a question. So for those of you that are being trained, they'll say, tell me 4 things you can see right now. You know, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 things you can see, 4 things you can smell, 3 things you can touch to come into that present moment. The fastest way is to ask a question. And a real sneaky one is if you want to drink. Cool, whoa. Cuz looking a little bit pale. We're changing your voter registration onto the other side here, Cuzzy, what's going on? 1 drink of water. As soon as you ask a question, they've got to come into prefrontal cortex to process the question. Brings them straight back into conscious mind. Now, for those of us that are coconuts, that have island blood, once we kick, and we spark off. It's called coconut fire, right? My father's got a very, very long fuse, and when it goes off, you basically evacuate the city, and then you come back in again. All right? We don't drink rum or wine. All right? Also known as fighting juice. So there's a time where it's got to go all the way around and come back again. And so later on, I'm going to go through the 4 different types of people and how they react, so you know what to do when they react. When someone sparks and they're kicking off, distance and time, shush. Let it die down, and then you can ask a question. Right, let's go forward. 24, 22, and this, prefrontal cortex. If you get 2 different people, not going to anyone in particular, husbands or wives, but if one deals with things one way and one deals with another way, if it's complementary, it works. If it clashes, it's fireworks. Alright? So I will help with that later on. But if you can dump this all down in a mind map, so it's all out of your head, then you can build a task list and then just do the next thing. You know what the next thing is. You know what the next thing is. And you've got control of it. And your imagination can't freak you out and ambush you because you've planned all of these steps. How many people here that, and I'll never ask it to you, how many people here know someone that struggles with anxiety, that when the plan is going really, really awesome, they're sweet. As soon as someone changes the time, changes the location, changes the plan, puts the toilet roll around the wrong way, doesn't put the lid back on the milk, like alters their perception of what's supposed to be happening, loses their mind. Yeah, we all know somebody like that, right? Because this is what's happening on. So we talked about the past memory, past pain, trauma being seen in the present. If you can map out a clear future, that's why The fear of the unknown, the fear of uncertainty, is the devil's playground for your mind on flipping steroids and lollies and Tic Tacs, creating all the worst things that could possibly happen. It's like Picasso on the pipe. Yeah, he says, there's all the stuff that may never happen, and it's all bad. But if you can map those clear steps, and if something happens there, fall back to the next step. Fall back to the previous step, I should say. Same in battle, we're rocking through doing our thing. Oh shit! Tap your jaw, let's go left wing. Does that make sense? So mind mapping and task lists are very important. And then you can end up with a map. This could be a daily thing. Routine is your friend. We call that the rock of routine. That's why you'll find when you lock something in a routine, like a Tuesday morning at 5:45 or a Tuesday morning at 6:30, things seem to start getting better because you start to put rock in that plane. Does that make sense? Cool. Massive dump on a muck around. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to take 5 minutes. We're all going to pop out there. I'm going to come out there with you. And we're all just going to take a breath. And we're going to have 5 minutes to ask any questions or just stretch your legs and talk about anything else. Unless, collectively, you guys want to keep going. How are you feeling? That's a lot of information. You're good? You want to keep going? You want to check one more slide out, or you want to have a quick break? Yep. Hands up for a break. Is that break? Are you okay? Are you okay is one of the questions I absolutely despise. Because it's a closed question. The intention's cool, the energy's cool, but it's a closed question. Are you okay? Yes. So I'm going to tell you a story when everyone else comes in that, how's your day? Ratings are really cool. So when I teach corporate or mentoring students, we have a level of awesomeness. One is, it sucks at the moment, that's us, bro. Tim Tam's Netflix, today is done. I can't people today, that's us, we're out, we're a 1. And 10 is hold me down, bro, I'm going into orbit, that's how awesome I am, right? And so we hit each other up. How's your day, bro? Oh, it's good, bro. 1 to 10 does? 8. Cool, bro. What would get you to a 10? Coffee and a pie, cherry. No, we're on a 6. Oh, how come you're 6? Then you record it all. Then you start getting information. Yeah, and that's the active listening. So what we'll do is, Nate, can you just flip the top switch, please? Just give you fair warning that the next 2 things that we're going to talk about are fear and pain. Because when we're dealing with anxiety, and I was just talking to the sisters at the back, they know X's in our language, they know X's in Samoan or Māori, so I don't know where these words come from. So for the record, these words don't exist. So the medical model is the newest healing modality. I have nothing against the medical model. The medical model is fantastic, but not in isolation. No model in isolation is the answer to everything. Right? It's a combination of what works for you. And it has to be holistic. And past, present, future is actually in the healing modality too. So one of the signs we got was the wheel's going this way, we've got to grab it and put it back around again. We're going to talk about fear and pain because anxiety is trying to protect you from both. Right? Past pain or past fears manifesting in the future. So we have to talk about fear and pain. And I love fear and pain. You know what? I'm stingy. I'm cheap. You know my favourite flavour of food? Free. Do you like this free? How much is it? It's free. I'll find a way to like it. Right. So Jim and I are businessmen. Jim Siamani, Samoan. And because Samoans are synonymous with what? What are Samoans the most well known for? Quick food. What else? Samoans.
Rugby league at the moment.
Rugby league at the moment. Yep. What else?
Agriculture.
High hits. Hard hits. Yes.
Agriculture, like the combine, all that.
Yep.
Very good.
Why don't no one say business? Why aren't Samoans synonymous with business and being entrepreneurs?
Because they're known for giving to they believe, basically.
That fella did $1 million in sales last month. With Amazon.
Because they're stigmatised for rugby, pork buns, and
He's going to talk about it. I love you,
it's like with the Māoris, like police did 7 hanging and like a set.
Stereotypes.
Stereotypes. So they're not going to go for something like a little too.
Correct. And so the reason I love fear and pain and why I'm so cheap is these are your hardest working employees. They work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they work for free. Like, it's almost like Asians invented fear and pain. I can say that everyone's like, bro, you just were racist against Asians. No, I was born in Singapore, and I was a regional operations manager for Asia Pacific. They're always looking for a way to generate engagement, productivity, or revenue. And if they can find people that will work and work and work and work, like a lot of the Filipinos, like a lot of the Malaysians across the world, it's about that. As much work as we possibly can. So when you have a positive relationship with fear, and you have a positive relationship with pain, they become bodyguards. Just like anxiety is the guard dog, and the black dog for depression is that blanket of love. Fear and pain are your bodyguards that work for you. Put your hand up if you're smarter than God. If you don't believe in God, put your hand up if you are the smartest person on this planet who has ever lived. That's
God. Me.
Yeah. So we're born with this. It's hardwired into us to keep us safe. Right? So we don't want to get rid of fear, we don't want to get rid of pain, we just want to make sure we have conscious control of the information that's given us. Because it's just information. Alright? So can we flip the top switch please, Dad? Te lava. That's thank you in Samoa. Come on now. I turned off the save battery, looks good. Right, fear. Good or bad? I cheated because I put that photo. Yes. People think it's bad. So if we look at the acronym of fear, as soon as you're scared of someone, what's the first thing that happens? Focus on it. So you free focus. So I'm cheating. And then what happens? You dump adrenaline, your heart starts racing, and you get all this extra what? Energy. Free focus though. Free energy. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For nothing. But it's your attitude that dictates your results. And if you can use the attitude that this is actually trying to help you and you listen to it, then make a decision, fear is very, very healthy. It is very healthy, but it works for you. And so as soon as I normally jump up and down and do a fright, there's a video of me going, and I'm not going to do it now because it's an anxiety workshop. I just go, bang, and I just scared this Asian girl in front. She's like, like this, and I was like, see, free focus, free energy. And then I wrapped it all back around. She was all cool, but I was just, she just froze. That's one of our responses, isn't it? What's our first one? Fight. Second one? Flight. But what normally happens to people that aren't trained, what do they do?
Freeze.
They freeze. Keep still. Don't move. That's natural. Animals do it as well. Some animals will fight, some animals will run, and some will go ground. We're all the same. Okay, so fear is natural. Fear is a bodyguard and fear is healthy. But we're actually not scared of what we're scared of. With anxiety, we're scared of the feelings of being scared. Make sense? Alright. Pain. Natural? Why do we feel pain?
Attached to our stories.
Don't do it. Like the simplest answer for pain is when someone goes, ah! You know, it's to tell you whatever you're doing, stop doing it. If you're the one that's generating the energy, okay? So hang on a second, because there's people here that other people cause pain. Alright? So if you're doing something and you experience pain, that's to tell you not to do it. Or, if we dive really deep down onto it, we can go into the gym and we have pain, because we're tearing our muscle fibers as we're getting strong. That's okay, but it's still a warning. Okay, take it easy, Cuzzy. You're 48 now, bro. Don't get too hard out without the boom boot on. Don't go boxing at Tuesday mornings yet. Because you get excited when you see Vaughan throwing fast. You want to go and try and be fast with Vaughan. You can't keep up with that fight, he's too good. You know? So pain again is healthy. Now what does a doctor do when it's looking for injury? Hope, cut it out. I need to know where it hurts. And then what does the doctor do when it finds out where it hurts?
Yeah.
Reverse engineer. This is really cool to talk about this bit now. Does a doctor heal anybody?
Nope.
Who?
Nope.
Does the doctor help you heal a broken arm?
Nope.
No? Who heals your broken arm?
Easy.
Your body does. What the doctor does is find out what hurts and reverse engineers it. Like my acupuncturist have been going for 20 something years, and I have a rule with acupuncture. the worse the English, the better the acupuncture. That's been my rule. Like, my perfect acupuncturist, I just walk in there and point at something, and they don't even speak to me. And they're like, they figure it all out, and you see them killing in every part of your body. And oh, my shoulder's sore, and they're sticking a needle in your ear. You're like, what? And then your shoulder starts doing stuff. You're like, man, these fellas know this stuff, right? And so it's reverse engineering to the source and what caused it, so that the healing is actually giving you the information. Can you imagine a doctor that never spoke to you? You couldn't, right? Because they're trying to explain to you what you're supposed to do so that you can heal yourself. What's he doing? He's just giving you information. Fear and pain is just giving you information for you to decide what to do with it. And it is your choice. So I can be scared of something and go, that's pretty silly being scared of that. And I can consciously do what I need to do. My heart's still going to town. You know, I've done the old watermelons. My inside. Yeah, we can all put the front on, consciously do that, but it takes time for the body to catch up to that. It takes time, it takes training, because it's a habit now. Make sense? So we can't go into everything, but when it comes to pain, most of my tribe have had pain put on them by somebody else. They didn't do it, they didn't give permission for it, they didn't consent to it, someone else hurt them. So I'm just going to play you one video on how I explain how to remove that hold off you if that pain is caused by somebody else. Would that be okay to show you the video? Yeah. So that video is me just sitting down by the river up at Makota Lodge, and we've just done a protecting woman exercise. A lady there, Kate, had suffered trauma where it was physical, where someone actually grabbed her around the throat, tried to kill her. And so she was unable to let anyone touch her, including her 6-year-old daughter. And so I just happened to be up there running through one of these training videos with another staff member, and she was just working in the cafe. She walks past and hears me talking about anxiety and trauma and all that sort of stuff. She goes, oh, what are you doing? I said, oh, I'm just helping out with this, and this. She goes, oh, I've suffered trauma and I can't even let my daughter touch me. And the daughter's with her. I said, do you want to fix that? She's like, oh. I said, do you want to fix it? Like now? She's like, yeah. So we did. It took us 20 minutes. 20 minutes, she's sitting there hugging her daughter, talking to me, and it's, oh, didn't even realise it. Daughter just walked over, sitting there hugging her daughter, because she was holding the pain that someone else put on her, and created that boundary to keep everyone else away. So straight after that, I just went outside down by the river, and I just recorded this video. So there's nothing traumatic in it, it's just me sitting down by the river, just giving you a metaphor story. Okay? So nothing scary, you can relax and listen to this one. Let me know if you can't hear. Not my good. Theon Jensen here, founder of the Lion Academy and the lead protector and instructor for Protecting Women Global. I want to give a metaphor that we gave to one of our wāhi there in regards to pain and forgiveness and trauma. And our particular sister here has suffered a lot of physical violence against her. So touch, people touching her, people in front of her or getting into her space was an issue for her. And so we ran an exercise that you'll run when you come to our Protecting Women retreats. But in that process, we had this discussion where I explained, people say, do you have to forgive the person that hurt you? Do you have to do that? Is it necessary for healing? Well, no, but let me explain this in a metaphor. If someone hurts you, it's like someone walking up to you and sticking a knife in you. So this knife is someone else causing you pain. They stick it in you, right? So they'll hurt you. You've got this sticking out of you. They put that there. You didn't put it there. So that's them. That's their issue. That's their fault, their responsibility. And they've stuck you with this. So now you're in pain. They will now go out of your life, or you'll move on. But this is still sticking in here. And you can't heal why this thing is sticking in here. So there's a few ways to get rid of this. You can take it out and say, this was your crap, you take it, I'm not carrying it anymore. Then you can let this wound heal. Forgiveness is one way to take that out. You can forgive that other person for what they did. Take this out. That is yours. Those are your issues. I forgive you for it. And again, you can heal. But that's not required because a lot of my sisters that I work with don't want to remove this knife because they feel that if they take this out and give it back, they have just justified and given that person permission to have stabbed them in the first place. So they'll never take this out. They will walk around with this wound and this knife sticking in them for their whole life because they want justice for that person stabbing them. They want that person to be accountable for them stabbing them. And so they will never heal. They'll get used to running around in life without moving this part of them that has this knife in it. So if this knife was put in your heart, you can be a successful corporate woman all you like. As soon as it gets to dealing with your emotions and relationship, you move in that direction, make this pain. If you were stabbed in the back through betrayal, affairs, lack of trust and everything else, you will walk around with this knife in your back until you take it out. They're not going to come back and take this out for you. A psychologist, a counsellor, a healer can come here and identify this, remove it for a short time, in logic or in counselling or medication. But the moment you think about that and you haven't dealt with it, you're going to put it straight back in there again. And again, any time in your life you're dealing with trust, this will hurt. So the whole point of this discussion is the pain that someone else put on you is not yours. It is not yours to carry. It is theirs. Take it out, give it back to them, and heal. Whether that's your understanding it and just taking it out and carrying on, whether that is through forgiveness and understanding where they're coming from and giving it back, or, excuse my language, that's your knife. I don't forgive you. There was no justification for you doing that, and you deserve to feel the same pain that I feel, and give it back to them. But don't take this and stab someone else with it. Don't take it out on your kids. Don't take it out on your new partner. Don't then use this to hurt other people. If you don't heal this, you will bleed on people that didn't touch you. How you get to that point, it's a process. And we'll help you with that process at our particular women retreats and all our trauma models. What part of that made sense?
Taking your power back and taking my knife.
Yeah. Now it's interesting sitting at the back of the room, seeing where people nod, see where people sort of make any sort of shift in regards to some of those things. And right of our tribe, we're warriors. Hey, most of our tribe come from, we're either hard workers, or we're fighters, or we're warriors, or we're just people that just want to get on with our lives. And when other people cause you pain, a lot of my people get trapped in one of those areas, but the biggest one is wanting that justice. Because we're generally righteous people. We're generally people of integrity and character, and that's not how you're supposed to hurt people. You're not supposed to treat people like that by hurting them. But again, all of this is natural if somebody is in pain. And so all the time I've spent, even in my careers as a cop, it's really, really difficult for me to get angry at people, because people, when they manifest this way, they're in pain themselves. Or they're dealing with fears, and then so they haven't been able to get control of this. It's all coming back to that conscious control. And once you get the understanding, then you can choose your process. That's what I love what Kaipol says. Find what works for you. There's lots of different processes. It can happen as quick as you want it to happen. It can happen in the speed of a decision. And then all you have to do is keep making that same decision. Forgiveness is, wow, that is hard. Getting to the point of understanding that that person is acting out of their pain, they actually have nothing to do with you, even though you get the blame for it. Look what you made me do. Doing it, you did it. Forgiveness is very, very difficult to get to. If you can get to that point, man, it's a massive level, but it's not required. It's very powerful, but just looking after yourself first. This word selfish. Be selfish. Because you ain't yourself, you're stuck with yourself for life. Who told you it was wrong to be selfish? Like, this is my body, this is my life. I'm supposed to do whatever the heck I want, so I'm not going to hurt anybody else. At what point do we decide that selfish was wrong? Again, because we're righteous people. Integrity, character, loyalty. We stay in relationships out of duty. We stay in relationships because it's the right thing to do, even if it doesn't make you happy. And we allow people to shape how we think about ourselves. And then it gets worse. You start believing what they say, and you start telling yourself the same thing. So that metaphor with our beautiful bulldog Ruby, if that's a piece of you, you're just kicking that dog. And letting other people come and kick that dog. There is nothing wrong with being selfish. You're allowed to be selfish. It's not my wife's job to make me happy, that's my job. It's not my job to make her happy, that's her job. She's got to be cool with herself in the mirror, so do I. We meet in the middle because we choose to be there. I'm not supposed to need her. I'm supposed to be comfortable within myself. Self. You the only self you've got? You're allowed to look after each other. That's not, hey, don't run around out of here and break up with everyone and quit your job. But you're allowed to have these thoughts. You're allowed to have these feelings. And if you're in situations, relationships, work, even within yourself, where you're telling yourself in the mirror when you're not happy, I'll tell you right now, it's because you're not being true to yourself. To yourself. You have to be selfish before you can be selfless. You have to. Otherwise, you're going to bleed on people that didn't come here. And you'll do it over and over again. To the point where you look for an answer outside of yourself. Which is why we end up on the pipe. Which is why we get involved in all sorts of other weird and wonderful things. We look outside for things that we've got already hidden inside us. And so Buddha had this awesome quote. Buddha said, I hid the secret to the universe in the one place I knew man would never look. Inside himself. And every story, every hero's journey, every religion, all writings, all teaching, talk about that connection with yourself and to the source of all things. You can't connect to that until you're cool with yourself. And you're allowed to. I'm giving everyone here permission to be selfish. To do what makes you happy, so long as it's not hurting anyone else. And because we have integrity and loyalty and we're righteous people and we have character, even when we're navigating around that, we're doing that with grace and compassion and being kind when we're doing it. Even if we have to untangle ourselves to a certain degree and then come back together. But a hard truth is no one is going to do this for you. No matter how much you wish that someone could just come and do it for you. No one can do it for you. But so many of us can do it with you. And that's the power. None of us have to walk alone. Because it gets real lonely up here. And it gets real lonely in here. You can't find the answer. And so, only Dion can make Dion happy. But along that journey, I can walk with my brothers. You know, they can't do it for me, but they can do it with me. And so, can you feel that shift in the energy in the room right now? Just asking that question, you know. Are you being true to yourself? Is this who you want to be? Is this the life you want to have? Is this how you want to feel? So when it comes back to anxiety and redefining anxiety, do we want these feelings? No. Do we want to hate these feelings? No. Do we want these feelings just in case we actually do get bitten by a dog? Yes. And do we want the ability to protect ourselves? Yes. So what do we actually want? I'm going to ask you all of this question. You don't have to ask it. Fire away. What do you want?
Be safe.
On this whole planet. The whole reason for your existence being alive today. What do you want? No one gives you permission to ask that question. You can have anything you want in this world. But what do you want? People don't choose it. The environment of people around them dictate what their life should be. What do you want? And we always start with, I don't want this and I don't want that and I don't want this, but what do you actually want? And if you were allowed to have everything you want, what would it be? And then it grows from there. Interesting, isn't it? There's heaps of hope because there's heaps of processes through this. There's heaps. But I just want to get to this point here where within yourself, you're allowed to give yourself permission to be happy. No one's going to do it for you. People will do it with you. And you support each other. Well, good. Well, that's a little bit serious, that one. But it's real. I don't just tokenistic floppy stuff as well. But we'll get into some good stuff as well. So that's the video on YouTube that you guys just watched. Because that's how it felt at the time. It's a Starbucks modelling shop. It's a Starbucks in Singapore, they took a photo, just been clowns. The tiger's eye beads on there, so that's where that picture comes from. But it's really cool writing, he was the first one to have a flash camera. Let's not have a break on this one, so I want to keep this energy. We spoke about Ruby as the guard dog for anxiety. This is another way to redefine anxiety. And so what we did is we created different characters so that we weren't personalizing it to people. We just created external characters, like comic book characters, to explain those feelings and behavior. So for anxiety, there's a couple of subconscious bodyguards. And they're really cool pictures. Some of them look a little bit scary. And I'm just going to give a warning to say this might tickle some of those pieces of yourself that don't want to be tickled, but it won't trigger you. Okay? Are we good with that? Just all grab a quick breath, breathe in, hold it, breathe hard. Yep. Now breathe out through the mouth. Alright. Our first subconscious bodyguard for anxiety is the paranoid assassin. Where you're always on edge and you're looking for fear. Alright? And the reason why he's an assassin or she's an assassin is because she doesn't want to be seen. He doesn't want to be seen. Alright? And if you get too close to the spotter, what do you think is going to happen? And gone. React with energy to create space. So this isn't to come forward and attack. This is throwing energy so you can get away. This is F off, leave me alone. Right? People trying to create space, trying to get away. Become paranoid, always looking for fear. That's Ruby on the pipe. You know, see you get your head kicked in, and so she's just going to go off at anyone that comes anywhere near you now, and she's totally lost control of herself. She's become a psycho doll, right? She's now paranoid. But this is still just trying to get away. So this is the first half of anxiety, where there's actually quite a lot of energy there. Yeah? And this is where people are on magnets on opposite polarities. And so if they try to get close to them, they pull away. In relationships, they start withdrawing. Yeah, because they need space to try and deal with this stuff. And if you keep trying to get close to them, alright? What an inspiring workshop, deal. I'm so glad we came to Here's the good news. These negative manifestations of their subconscious bodyguards is just you in survival mode. That's you at 100% because nothing else is working. Your true form, if you react this way, if you're someone that wants to be quiet, wants to stay away from people, when people get too close, you bite. That's a fear biter, you know, those dogs that are scared. They bite because they're scared, not because they're aggressive, they're scared. Because you're a watcher. In the military, you're a scout. In the animal archetype, you're an owl. You've got that vision, which means you need to be able to see things at distance. You don't like being flipping pinned in or pinned down or rocked down, chained up. You know, you need to be able to see stuff. That's why I did this video. For anyone that was this side of anxiety, a video how to even walk in this building and what the room even looked like. So you can fly up here and see all that stuff. So it's too dangerous, like, you see it. Make sense?
Yep.
So anyone that's along those lines, put things in place for them in a neutral space. Put plans in place that they choose the time frame on, they choose the distance. Let them self-qualify. Why? It brings it back into prefrontal cortex, gives them control. Make sense? Cool. The next two I think are really cool, even though they look quite scary. I just think they look real gangster. So we've got the ghost and the vampire. Oh, really cool. That's cool pictures there. So my artist is a Serbian sniper in 6 RAR in Australia. And so I'll explain my concept and draw stick figures, and then he comes up with this. Just amazing. So the ghost is the nightmares and the flashbacks and the high energy. Stay away, stay away. Oh, heaps of high energy, right? The barking dog. So she's going to come back in nightmares and flashbacks and stand at the end of your bed and ooh, freak you up. And she's going to be yelling at you to stay away from stuff. You're going to try and shut her off. So this happened to me. I dealt with all the dead kids when I was a cop, so I didn't have kids at the time. Once I had kids, I started having nightmares and flashbacks about every single dead kid I ever dealt with as a cop. Every morning at 3 o'clock in the morning. Ghosts will wake me up, I have a nightmare about dead kids and go and check on my kids. Dead kids, checking on kids. You try and shut it down first until I discover this is a piece of myself trying to warn me about something. What's it warning me about? Having all these memories of dead kids. They were just sitting in my memory. No relevance to me. Didn't bother me in the slightest. I'd left the police. As soon as I had kids. Kids here, kids there, put those together. Your kids could be here. You're crazy. That actually makes perfect sense. 1 + 1 = 2. Yeah? So when I started listening, why are you waking me up? Dealt with dead kids, something could happen to our kids. Fair point, just check on our kids. So once I actually started listening and understanding that the ghost is actually a piece of myself trying to help me, I started looking forward to talking to her at 3 o'clock in the morning. The moment I got to that shift of like, oh, you'll go to sleep tonight, and I wake up and I have this conversation again. What do you think happened at 3 o'clock? Nothing. Because I had listened. Here's the example. What we're going to do now, I'm going to get you guys to close your eyes, no touching, no loud noises, nothing. I just want to shut your eyes down so that I can get you to imagine a situation, and there's nothing scary in it, okay? It's just I want you to understand this without your eyes on how this level of anxiety and nightmares works, okay? And then how to get out of it. So if everyone close your eyes and be comfortable, if you're not, you don't have to. So I want you to imagine that you're on one cliff, and the person or thing that you love the most is on an opposite cliff. And then between you, there's a massive valley where the sea is crashing through. It's like one of those Scottish islands where you're on one cliff and they're on the other. And the sea is crashing through the middle. You physically cannot get from one cliff to the other. And if either one of you falls in that valley, you will fall on those rocks and you will die. And this is the situation. The person or thing you love the most is on the other side of the cliff. You cannot get to them. You cannot physically get to them. They are sleepwalking with their eyes closed towards that cliff. Now, if you can't physically get to them, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You are going to yell as loud as you possibly can. Stay away from the cliff, stay away from the cliff. Now, as they get closer to the cliff, are you going to yell louder or softer?
Yeah.
Louder. They're getting too close, and the panic comes, right? So open your eyes. That's all nightmares and flashbacks are, is there's a piece of yourself yelling at you this information that you are not listening to. And the moment that you listen to it and have that conversation and put that guard dog at ease, it'll back off. And you're going to have to keep doing it and keep doing it until it matches the time that it took to put it in there, and it will get lower. The vampire, she does something different. So the ghost is about fear, the vampire is about pain. So what better way to never feel pain again than to remove your ability to feel? So the vampire will latch onto your neck and remove your feelings to make you numb. So you can't be hurt. So when I deal with our young gang kids, just listen to the language. If you do, I'll kill you. Coming forward, I will. If off, leave me alone. Assassin. And, but what if this? But what if this? But what if this? But what if this? Yeah, ghost. Come on, bro, what about this? I don't care. I don't care. Literally, don't care. Shut this down. I'm not going to feel anything now. Just shut this down. But they'll keep one emotion. Guess what that is? Rage. So they can protect themselves. So when you get to the point of being numb, you can't feel pain. Another inspiring message. Here's the good news. They are two pieces of the same true form. You're a healer. You're the medic. You're the rescuer. As an animal, you're that Labrador. You love people. You've got massive amounts of love to give. And so your heart is either a dead car battery, which means you need to trickle charge it or jump start it if you know that person, or you need to be able to have to call it and have that conversation. Now, for the people in here that I don't know very well, I can't come and say I love you because I don't know you. But I can use a little bit of humour. A little bit of humour gets a little bit closer to joy. Always another step closer to love. Put some Michael Jackson PYC on there. You know? Because I know with them with anxiety, so the ghost and the vampire are going to be in there somewhere. Which means that the healer is here. There's enough love in this room to help us each other. Make sense? Now we're going to have a quick break. Because that's a lot of stuff. If you want to have a quick break in here, I'm just going to put a different song on, just to and have a drink of water and pop out if you need to, or have a chat amongst yourselves. I'm going to have a drink as well. But this is natural, this is normal. Alright? Right, 1 to 10, I'm still being able to listen to me talk. 1 is like, shut up, bro, I need to go home, and 10 is like, keep going, cuz. What's our numbers?
15.
15, I'm sure. 20, alright.
Depends if you got 4 funds.
So please take a break on for some other music on. Have a cordial about this, like it's like I feel these little tumblers clicking away. You know, Dave, can you turn the light on, please? Feel good? Yes, no. Yeah, that's a bad question, eh? What's our 1 to 10? How are we feeling energy wise? 1, I'm asleep. 5, that's all good. Oh, you can sleep all day. I've been eating some sandwich.
No, I don't incorporate it. Sorry, because I stood my coat.
Yes, he is.
You called a pipe up opinion. Alright, so we're just going to summarise a little bit. The whole purpose of this workshop was to redefine anxiety. So, you know, to take all the negative off it, and maybe manifesting negatively in your life at the moment. That's cool, right? But we're just looking at it from a different point of view where it's natural, it's just doing its job, it's loyal, it's trying to protect you, and that's all really, really cool. But what do we do when it manifests? Find techniques and tools to stay in the present moment. If you're dealing with stuff from the past, manifesting those past memories, and work on mapping your future out so that your imagination can't be like Picasso on the pipe. I'm going to keep that one open. You know, and create this freaky universe, right? Then as you go down this process, you'll be able to drill down further and further for yourself, and there's other workshops you can do and understand different pieces about yourself. But really love yourself. Like, be really, really selfishly selfish. And give yourself permission to be absolutely selfishly selfish. You watch how that feels when you actually look inside yourself and go into your inner child and go, what do you want to do today? What? We're going to go to work? What do you want to do? We go to the beach, eat ice cream. Off to the beach. Right. I give you all permission to that. Have a MDO, go to the beach, eat some ice cream, put your feet in the water. Look at the adult within yourself. What does the adult want within yourself? What do you want? You want to study? You want to help people? You want to grow? You want to do these things? What do you want?
Sorry,
That's all right. It's cool. It's a cool sound, isn't it? And for the parent in you, who's under your covering that you can now help with? So I'm going to invite you to think about, can you flip the light please, Dave? Just keep it really simple. And it's a real cool picture. I like it. What are your 3 things? What are your 3 things on this planet? That's all I want you to think about after this, heading home and all the rest of it. What are your 3 things that you want to do on this planet, that you want to leave on this planet, that you want to experience on this planet? What are your 3 things? Spend time with yourself and drill down on them. What are your 3 things? My 3 things, I want to protect people. I want those that don't feel safe to feel safe. And that means you've got to get in front of some people and do some stuff. I like that. I like protecting people. That was the first half of my life. I want to protect people so they feel safe. Then I want to empower people. I want to teach, I want to train, I want to set the captives free. I want to hear those tumblers on the rock tumble and click and fall off. You know, I want to empower people. And the last thing is like, I want every man, woman and child that I come into contact with to feel valued. That you're worth something. Because this world does not value us. We need to value ourselves in the mirror and collectively. What are your 3 things? Your 3 things can be different to everyone else's 3 things. There might be some overlap somewhere, but do yours. Find the synergy, find your people, find the overlaps. But be 100% selfish in this process so that you can be true to yourself. When we do our Facebook Lives at 8:30 in the morning, we say, what's good, which I read from Te Raumo Pika. And let's go, which I got from Kura. And then my one is, who are you? Who do you want to be? And then where are you really want to go? Because it is within that conversation you'll find your true self. Do you really want to go overseas and kill people to reach a core value of doing what's right in the world? Or can you achieve the same thing a different way and achieve the same way? What do you need to feel true to yourself? Not for anybody else, but for you. I'll leave you another little secret. When you first start living that way, you'll find out who your people are pretty quickly. And then you'll find out you need a big clean out of your Facebook, and a big clean out of your friends, and a big clean out of your family. And then when you get to that point, it's a pretty cool feeling to be free to be yourself, to head towards what you want to do. So I just invite you to put that in your mind, body, soul, and let it cook. And then this is a horrible game we play. We're so good at wearing masks, eh? And some of us make masks. So who are you and who do you want to be? Because we put on all these different masks, really for everybody else, not for ourselves, right? And sometimes you have to. I've got to put on my professional face when I do professional stuff. And then I can be this, and this, but on the inside I'm always going to be Dale. My business card has me in a suit jacket and a hoodie. And I run along that spectrum anywhere I want. I'll still do my 3 things. I do my 3 things in the community, corporate, out in the world, at home. I get to live my 3 things. And if you want to know how to do that stuff, this is the next stage. So once you deal with the fear and pain side and you get yourself safe, those are the next questions. Who are you? Who do you want to be? Where are you getting your value? Is it from who you are or what you do? And in that triangle you'll find those answers. That's my dad's story. So we're going to finish off, because you're probably sick of hearing about my voice, because I'm going to give my dad 10 minutes. So I didn't tell him to come up the front. Just
I figured
I'm having anxiety.
And Dad's just going to explain to you what the concept of... I came off this concept and I said, Dad, could you put your story into the world? Dad's forgotten more about how to instruct in a workshop than I'll ever learn. If I'm half the man that my father is when it comes to instructing, I'll die a happy man. But Dad's story reaches across so many different generations. And so if you want to spend 10 minutes and start with how you left Samoa to Army, to Malaysia, to now, before you go to work, that would be awesome. So give my dad a hand, please.
Yeah. I'm tall enough, I don't need a stage.
I'll get out of your way.
Yeah, okay. I'm 70 years old. I was born in Samoa. I'm an Irish. So I have the Irish personality. And unfortunately, so does my wife. So there's a clash. Nah, it's good. All right. Value, identity, and purpose. I've had many identities, and they weren't my choice. They were imposed on me. I was sent to New Zealand at the age of 5 in 1957, and I was whāngai to a sister that had a daughter, and they'd lost a son to suicide. Accidental suicide. He was mucking around, listening to a radio station, and decided he'd try and emulate what was being said, and unfortunately slipped. So I came not being able to speak English, and I was more comfortable in bare feet, and so my language was beat out of me every time I spoke Samoan. And in those days, you know, when you talk about beatings, you're not talking about thrashings, you're talking about a psychological beating, where you basically, that identity of being a Samoan child was taken out of me, and I became a New Zealand child. So I started growing up in Ponsonby in Auckland, which was an enclave of Polynesians. Up in the quarter live there now, but at that time, that's where all the immigrants lived. And you know, people worked in freezing works, they cleaned, they did all that sort of work. And our job as kids was to become proficient at English and to be able to compete in the school system. And when you listen to me speak, you know, there's no hint of my culture, my heritage, my whakapapa, in the way that I speak. And people always mistake me for a Māori, you know, because of what I look like. In the Philippines, I'm mistaken as Filipino, I just happen to be a big one. So these are all these identities. And so I grew up in that system, and I went through school in Auckland, through high school. And when you're whāngai, you're grateful for having a home, having a family, and you always, you know, the family you're with, they do their best to try and make you part of their family. But the thing is, you know, you still got a mother and father. They're elderly, and my dad was 65 when I was born. But you never feel part, you know, completely part of that family. You know, and I remember when, you know, sort of Sunday mornings, I was whāngai out 3 times to 3 different families while I was going to school. And, you know, I still have those memories of, you know, sort of my nieces and nephews on a Sunday morning jumping on their mum and dad's bed and, you know, sort of clowning around as kids do, you know. But I always felt sort of wasn't part of that. And because there are all these sort of divisive things that nobody means to do, but they exist. And in the young minds, you start to compartmentalise the different experiences you have. And you know, I have memories of, you know, we all had chores when I was living in Darwin, and Saturday morning was always the lawns, so I'd do the lawns. And I remember I used to lie down on the lawn and I'd just stare up in the sky and wait for an aeroplane to go over. And I'd dream about, you know, where I wanted to be. And then, you know, you just get on with life. You go to school, you have your mates, and you do these things. And then in 1968, I was at high school, grammar in Auckland, and I come across this careers book. You know, all different careers, what you might have. And on the back was a picture of an army uniform with no face. It says, "This you." And so I've been brought up on, basically, when I first came, I was more or less like an ordinary child. So I lived a lot of my life be comics. And so, you know, I enjoyed all the comics. My sister used to give me 10 shillings on a Saturday, and I'd take the bus from Ponsonby into Queen Street in Auckland, and I'd go through the 11 o'clock session, the 2 o'clock session, the 5 o'clock session, and the 8 o'clock session. So I had 4 movies in the day, and I had enough money to go to all those movies, have something to eat, and come home on the bus. So that was, you know, and I was doing that by myself, you know, because my mates were doing other things. And so, as you see, as I'm growing up, I'm having to make adjustments to the different environments that I was in, and of course, I had absolutely no control over that. So when I decided to join the army, my father and mother gave permission because I was only 15 at the time, and that was the first real step on my journey. Well, probably the second. The first one was the fact that I came to New Zealand and didn't stay in Samoa. The second one was my choice, but what it did, it took me out of that family environment, and Polynesian families can be quite, you know, crushing, where everybody talks your business. They decide what you're going to do. You know, I remember when there was a death in the family, and the elders of the family came over from Samoa, and you were paraded. You all came in and they talked about you, and you were taken out, and the next one came in. You know, it was just the culture. And, you know, and I'm a grown man with 2 kids. and I'm sort of, you're still a child in that eye. And so I joined the army, and then that was another experience because I was the only Samoan. Everywhere was either Maori or Pākehā. And of course I've been inculcated now into the Maori way of life, because one of my whāngai fathers, my brother-in-law, was very high up in the Mormon church, but mainly in the cultural thing. And at the time at the Auckland Easter show, they used to have the cultural thing, and they have all the different Polynesian things, and he was big in that. So I learned the New Zealand history. I knew nothing about my own. So I could tell you about Maui and fishing up the North Island and all that sort of carry on. And then when I joined the army, so I was identified not as a Samoan but as a Maori, because nobody knew what a Samoan was, because at that time there were no Samoans in the New Zealand Army. I was it. And then the next year another one came and started to build up. There had been one during Vietnam who happened to be the son of head of state at the time. So nobody knew what to do with me other than treat me as a Maori. But the one thing that the army did was give me a family that I chose to be with and valued me like everybody else. To a point. Always to a point, because at that time, and you're talking about 1969, 1970, brown people weren't supposed to have any brains. You weren't supposed to be intellectually gifted, if you like. Now, I was nobody special, you know. Passed my school cert, and then I was in a UE class, a university entrance class for a year, and there was 8 of us, and at the end of that year, we had to sit out university entrance. You didn't get it accredited like these other guys, and sort of the instructors had decided, that voted that I was less likely to succeed, because, you know, I didn't sort of exhibit the studious sort of thing that you're supposed to do, is to be a good scholar. And it was quite interesting, because we had the prize giving the following year, and the problem was I topped the class, so I got more than the second guy, and everybody else failed. So yeah, I'm on top of the class. I've embarrassed the hierarchy because I'm not supposed to be there, and I didn't get the UE prize. The other guy did, the white guy. So already you were being channeled into into that division. But the one thing the Army did, and this is why it's always my family, and I get this awesome feeling every time I come close to Waiuru. It just even out. But as in our tribe, you know, we were the peasants, as it were. You know, we were the senior officers and that, so they had their own thing. So we were very close because we all came from similar backgrounds at the time. There's a lot of Maori boys from the coast and up in the Bay of Plenty, and you know, places like Tiki, and places I'd never heard of, you know, but now they're sort of part of my vocabulary. And then, so I got out into the regular force, and I went through some things there, and you know, I wasn't always my best friend, you know. There's things I did that I was punished for, and I should have been punished for because they were stupid things, but they were kid things. And it's funny because every course I did, I didn't study. And I just had this gift, and I remember when I joined the military police, you know, I was having a good old time in those days. On the booze, down partying up with the boys and not studying. Yet I was stopping the class all the time, and for that reason some other guys got resentful of that. So again, your value is being established by somebody else. To me, I was having a great time, I was passing my course, I was doing my thing, I was good at my job, but other people were attaching a value to you that was going to impact on you later on as these people came into positions of authority. So, you know, and I got through these things, and you know, I became sort of the first Samoan military policeman to do all sorts of these magic things. I have the dubious honour of being the only New Zealand military policeman to be locked up by the same crowd post-war. So again, that was as a result of my partying exploits. You know, being quite an ugly child, I learned to play the guitar and sing sort of these really, I don't know, call them love songs. You know, I got what was left over after the party. And so, you know, I became very good at being a party animal. And so that got me in all sorts of trouble. But it's amazing what you can do. After I got locked up and I was threatened to be sent home, I was married at the time, but I got on the booze in the MP bar with some of the guys, and it got a bit toey, and somebody told me to go home, and I told them no. And next minute I'm in the cells, in the barracks, in the infantry cells. Right. So it was interesting. That's another story. But it's just amazing what you can do when you make a decision. Because I decided to go on the drive. And I went on the drive for a year. I didn't touch any alcohol. And I still partied. You know, I could still play the guitar, still yahoo and carry on. But that was a turning point for me. And after that year I got promoted to sergeant. And I came home. Because everybody looks at me and says, how come this bugger here gets locked up and he gets promoted? Because I was good at my job. And so there's always a saving grace, no matter where you are, whatever darkest hole you might think you're in, there is still light up there. You know, I love the way Dion describes the kamate, you know, that being in the Kumara pit and all that. And there is always light. There's always light. And I went on to become a warrant officer in the New Zealand military police. And then I hit my next milestone, because I had been promised permission to become an officer when I got back from Singapore. But by that time the hierarchy had changed. And go back to that story, the people that were watching you and attaching values to you decided you didn't deserve that. So that all changed. And I got out. But the interesting thing about it, every time I hit something that I thought would be a problem, it actually created another way, to a better way. And you know, another time I'll tell you more of the insight, but for the last 22 years prior to 2020, I spent working in the Philippines. And I was working as a consultant for a multinational risk management with Fortune 500 companies. And I learned my craft there. And it's interesting because Dion did the same. You know, he's working for the same company in Iraq that I was working for in the Philippines. And I tell you, your self-esteem goes through the roof when you're valued, and it goes through the toilet when you're not. But I realised quite early that I controlled what value was attached to me, and that was dependent on the identity that I decided to have for myself. And then it comes to your purpose. You know, what is it you want in life? And one of the things that me and Dion had always talked about was one day working together, because we followed the same star, if you like. And that's what we're doing now. We work together, and we're going to work a lot closer together as we go along. But the thing is, it's by mapping out each stage of my life to date, I could see that where your value and identity impacted on the direction your life took again. Because your environment dictates. Right? You can't control who's going to be in charge of you, who holds the purse strings, things like that. And but that's just a brief overview of the fact that, hey, I can still stand here at 70 years old. I'm not in jail. I've been through cancer. I've had colon cancer. I had a couple of hernias, and every time they put me to sleep, I wonder if I wake up, but hey, still here. So there's always hope. And as Dion says, you're the one really that determines your identity. And if it's not been given, or the opportunities has been given by who you're with, you change it. Get out of it. You can choose that. And the thing is, we're always, it's like the Filipinos talk about the crabs in the bucket. Whenever somebody tries to get out, somebody grabs them back. Come back. And we have the courage to break away sometimes. So I'll just share that with you, and thank you again for. I've got to stop coming to these things because I know what you're going to do. All right, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now it's interesting when I come up with this concept. We had an apartment in Malaysia at the time. Just finished working in Singapore, had become a speaker. We rented an apartment in Malaysia, which cost us about, must have been like $1,000 a month. It's a massive apartment, like flash as, so cheap Malaysian ringgit, right? And then so I said, oh Dad, can you just outline the story? My sister and I read, so that's a full book. It's free to download if anyone wants it. But when Dad wrote his story, 80% of what he wrote, my sister and I were totally unaware of. We had no idea. We had no idea in any of those experiences because they were all memories in his mind. And then so, with Dad being 70, we could see all these places where when he had this identity, his value was very low. When he had this identity, his value was through the flipping roof. And then so for everything that we've created, we came up with this concept called ina mana on the Māori side and ina malosi on the Polynesian side. Because that's where it starts, on the inside, and no one can actually take it away from you. It'll run away and hide within you so it can't get hurt. But if you go looking for it and you find it again, it's pretty powerful stuff. So the reason I wanted to finish on this is because if we stay just talking about anxiety, there's a military saying you can't see the flanks if you're in the trenches. So I just wanted to do this bit and pop up again. Yeah, we deal with this in life and we can deal with it and get through. But again, we've got to put a positive future in front of it. Otherwise Picasso will get on the pipe and he'll go a little bit crazy. So there's always hope. There's always someone's story that might give you the next sentence or the next paragraph or the next chapter for you to put in your book to carry on through. So we're always going to finish off with hope. But hope without a plan is a wish. So you've always got to have a plan. You can't have a plan unless you've got a strategy. You can't have a strategy unless you've got a vision. So I want to leave everyone with this thought. Please, when you go home tonight, be 100% selfish. And really think, what are your three things? What do you want in life? And one final question, is anyone feeling anxious right now? Interesting, eh? I was at Rangi Māori in Marae talking to some young fellas, and we took the conversation right down into suicide, right down into it. The whole Marae was just sitting in the raru. We'd lost people to suicide, we brought up every dirty thing I could possibly pull out of people, but all in front of us is this big stinking pile of negative energy. And then I threw down the haka, and geez, those boys kicked off. There's an awesome picture, and then I just locked eyes with this dude and I went at him, and this man, I got a little bit frightened actually. This dude transformed into this flippin' this dude, and they all kicked off and threw this haka back. And then they were like, hey, there must kukane and hard. I was like, get out of it. Where's all that anxiety gone? He's like, where's all your rage gone? Where's all that gone? Where's all that gone? Where's our stinking pile of, where did that go? Disappeared that quick. As soon as they accessed that, and they connected that to that, that to that, and away they went. It just disappears. Because what you focus on grows. So we've discussed redefining anxiety, now I'm shifting the focus to who do you need to become and what you need to do to feel valued. To honour that which is inside you. I'll give you all permission to do that if you can't do it for yourself, so I give you full permission to do it. If you look around the room, we're all pieces of each other, we're all different jigsaw shapes, and find the ones that match. And you share. But be selfish tonight. And put things in front. All good?
All good.
Thank you. Thank you for even showing up tonight. And thank you for listening. Really appreciate it. And a massive shout out to Zach Rakane, who we just met while we were both running for City Council.
Sure.
And he's just a ninja with this stuff, but he's also he's one of my energetic mediums. He can feel people. We've had a few discussions about, hey, how'd you find that? Oh, you know, I felt this from this dude and this from this dude. So if you're wondering why Zach's here filming and stuff, because he's going to interpret through his lens what he sees with us sharing this. So thank you once again. We're going to close this all off. I'm going to finish off with a prayer. We actually opened it up with the music, so there wasn't a formal opening of what we did tonight. I snuck that in there. I just started playing some love sounds coming through. Then it's funny, we ended up on Dad's ability to sing the high marks and woo the ladies with his eyebrows. And so we'll just close off with a quick karakia. Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus, regardless of what people believe and don't believe, I just pray your blessing and protection on every single person here and everything that the energy touches as a ripple to their family and everywhere else. And I just pray, Lord, that in whatever they believe and whatever modality they follow, that they will find themselves while they're looking for themselves. I pray, Lord, that they will be safe wherever they go, that they will find ways to learn to empower themselves and to feel absolute value for who they are and who they see in the world. We're all walking each other home, Father. And I pray that we will walk home safely together. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Give yourselves a hand. So thanks so much. Grab a drink, catch up. If you want to have a cordial, have a cordial. I'm going to, anyone wants to stay and help me pack the chairs up, we'll do that. And then I'm going to go to Caltex and grab me a coffee. If anyone wants to just tootle over there and grab a coffee and have a cordial, you're more than welcome. Or you can just fold out. If you're not inside the Line Academy, you go to the lineacademy.co.nz. Get yourself in there. It's $1. Got the $1 US. If you haven't got a $1 US, just put me your first name, last name, and email address that you put in there. And in there is where all these programs and stuff are that you can do them. There's no cost for any of this. If you want access to any of this stuff, just say the word, and you can get in there.